do you even begin documenting the mischief of a rogue time-traveling cat? Thaddeus P. Garrett has a theory, and it starts with a secret case file tucked inside a very chunky folio. That's the mission today as I build a whole Z-fold section for Harlington T. Purrsworth, part of my Steampunk Traveler's Junk Journal for the hashtag Let's Go Steampunk collaboration. You'll see how I distress and crumple photos, tuck in suspicious location snapshots, and fake a ministry case file like Thaddeus raided the archives himself. Stick around because this feline might just outwit us all. Hi, it's time once again for coffee, crafting, and cats with the Ginger Cat Lady. I'm Pam, and Harley's whereabouts are classified. But if you see a tail in the shadows, don't say I didn't warn you. Today's project is beginner-friendly, but packed with layered storytelling. We're building the first section of a steampunk-inspired Z-fold that houses the top-secret case file of Harlington T. Purrsworth, our mischievous feline operative. We'll ink, distress, and embellish the cover of Harlington's case file, build out his field documentation, and track his suspicious movements with a custom-crafted map and photos, all tucked inside Thaddeus P. Garrett's time-traveling folio. Let's grab our supplies and see what Thaddeus has stashed away in this panel of the folio. We're kicking off this whole Z-fold section with the cover to Harlington T. Purrsworth's top secret case file. Because if you're going to document the antics of a rogue time-traveling feline, you have to start with an official-looking folder. It sets the tone. It says, yes, this agent sheds, but he also steals state secrets. The back of Harlington's photo is getting stamped with journaling lines. I'm using this broken line stamp to give it that old file room feel, like it's been tucked inside a drawer for decades. You know, right next to a half-eaten sardine sandwich. Then it's time for a little rough treatment to make it look like it's survived a mission, or at least a particularly chaotic Tuesday on my desk. I'm scuffing the edges with scissors so it feels like something that's been handled, misplaced, and maybe intercepted once or twice along the way. Definitely not fresh off the printer, even though we both know better. I also folded a few corners and inked the creases, just enough to make it look like the photo's been tucked into one too many classified dossiers, maybe even smuggled out of a ministry archive under someone's hat. Purely hypothetical, of course. This label got the full treatment. Inked, crumpled, inked again. And then I hit it with a sanding disc, just to make sure it looked questionably archived. Pretty sure this one's already been used on at least 3 secret files and 1 suspicious tuna shipment. The label's at a slant, the photos barely hanging on with a paperclip. Classic Thaddeus. Tossed together in a hurry after swiping it from the ministry, or maybe straight off Harlington's desk. Either way, it's exactly the kind of careless filing you'd expect from a time-hopping agent with zero regard for office protocols. I wanted the label to look like it came straight from the ministry's archives, something Thaddeus swiped during a midnight file raid. The number? Completely fabricated, but convincing enough to make someone hesitate before asking questions. To add a bit of texture, I'm stamping a few subtle gears into the background with tea-dye distress ink, partly to make it feel layered, but mostly to suggest that this folder was not forged in a single sitting. It is about visual continuity, or at least the illusion of a well-documented espionage case. You'll notice I'm not using a stamp block for these. There's a bit of bulk behind the panel, and it's easier to smoosh around the stamp with my finger to make sure the gears actually stamp cleanly. Sometimes precision takes a backseat to just making it work, which honestly is kind of Thaddeus's entire vibe. Next, I gave the background a mist of water to let the distress ink work its magic. And at first, it was cooperating, but then a little too much water pooled up, so I dabbed it off and grabbed the heat tool. By the time it dried, well, most of the ink had packed its bags and vanished into the time stream. And over here, panel 3 is all about known location. This is where Thaddeus has been tracking Harlington's movements, or at least the ones he's willing to admit. It's part intel, part guesswork, and entirely an excuse to add more suspicious cat photos to the file. Naturally. For this panel, I wanted a side pocket to hold Harlington's known locations, the map, the photos, the trail of whiskers. I used a piece from Sherl's kit that felt just different enough from the neighboring flap to make it look like a last-minute addition, which, of course, it was. To make it feel like these snapshots of Harlington were yanked straight from a confidential photo album, maybe one hidden in a Ministry of Steam file drawer, or tucked under Harlington's favorite sleeping spot, I tore one edge of each print by hand. It's subtle, but it adds just enough drama to make you wonder, who took them? And who was watching whom? This is Thaddeus's attempt at tracking Harlington's movement. Built by me on coffee-dyed paper to keep things nicely covert, I added the photos and location labels based on Harlington's known haunts, mostly involving naps, mischief, or both. Surveillance may be fuzzy, but the paw prints don't lie. And if you're wondering where these perfectly suspicious visuals came from, that would be Gloobert, my AI crafting assistant and part-time ministry defector. Each known location gets its own little gear, like a metallic breadcrumb trail. It adds a bit of shine, but also helps Thaddeus keep tabs on where this feline operative's been seen or suspected. Once everything was documented, Thaddeus tucked the map safely into the side pocket, his own private archive of feline mischief, folded away and hidden in plain sight. Today, we assembled the top secret beginnings of Thaddeus's Harlington file, complete with suspicious photos, hidden journaling, and just enough espionage flair to raise eyebrows at the ministry. What started as a blank panel is now a full-blown feline surveillance dossier. Next time, we'll crack open the middle panel, Harlington's official dossier. Expect questionable intel, possible tampering, and a status report straight from the feline chrono-ops vault. If this chaotic file gave you ideas or a chuckle, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps more than you know and keeps the Ministry of Steam off my back. Probably. While you're waiting for Harlington's full dossier, catch up on how this whole timeline-tangled journey began. I'll link the first Steampunk folio, as well as the link to the entire hashtag Let's Go Steampunk playlist right here on the screen. And as always, may your scraps be endless and your glue never dry. See you in the next one. Bye.